Education as we know it today is dramatically different than just over a year ago. Schools shutting down, fears of COVID-19, as well as the choices on how to learn. Big choices of in-person instruction or home-based learning that for many families did not come easily and for some are missing the mark. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. A formula for Utah school children that up until a year ago has been traditional and predictive. Students go to school and teachers lead at the front of the class. Now, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, mouse clicks, computer screens, and virtual meetups have entered the learning platform, disrupting face-to-face interaction between students and educators, taking away valuable social interactions and pushing students to learn online, oftentimes isolated, with no peer mentorship or academic and social validation.
We're seeing increased rates of anxiety, increased rates of depression, even increased rates of things like suicidal thinking.
In March 2020, schools were ordered to stop in-person instruction. At first, a 2-week soft closure. Soon after, a total shutdown for the remainder of the school year. Utah's school districts responded by transitioning to home-based learning, where grades quickly began to speak for the lessons learned, and in this case, not learned.
It's a legitimate concern.
The Granite School District has roughly 62,000 students. When they went to a strictly virtual platform last March to the end of the academic year, 40% of their student body finished with failing marks. That's about 24,000 students.
Some students thrive with the flexibility offered through distance learning. Very small. So to weigh those two, obviously we're going to be leaning towards the in-person for the overwhelming majority of our students.
Ben Horsley, spokesman for the Granite School District, says there are obvious reasons in the breakdown of education when it comes to in-person learners versus home-based or online learners.
If you're a teacher and you're sitting in a classroom and Bobby over here doesn't understand a math problem, it's so easy to be able to walk over to him. You got your masks on, be able to provide that intervention and that tier 2 instruction and give him the support he needs immediately. When it's a distance learner, what does that look like?
What is clear to administrators is the stark difference in learning patterns.
We continue to see distance learners struggle more consistently than we do in-person instruction.
At the start of the current school year, 26% of all Granite students chose to remain online. The remaining 74% returning to the classroom. During a typical school year, 1% of students fail, holding true for in-person learners right now. But for online learners, the failing rate jumps to 4%.
We learn a lot from just soaking in kind of other people's experience. And so not having that direct kind of in-person interaction does make a difference.
A psychologist with Primary Children's Hospital, Dr. Annie Deming, points out more than just academic failures and success. The way students mature emotionally and interact with peers is a vast component of childhood education.
Continue not to have those types of opportunities, we can have kids who are going to struggle with just basic social skills as well as maybe relationship skills later on.
She says when a student is not in the classroom, nonverbal cues can be missed.
You also aren't necessarily getting as much of the expressiveness or excitement that the teacher might have for a subject. It just feels different because the energy is going to be lower with just that, screen issue rather than being face to face.
Even with noticeable deficiencies among online learners, there is hope.
We haven't passed a point of no return. The good news is we can always learn new skills, and in particular kids, their brains are designed to learn new things.
Matriculation of online students can be bridged and sometimes even seamless back to a traditional in-person learning foundation, but will heavily vary from student to student. Something the Granite School District is doing their homework on right now.
As we look towards recovering, right? Building these kids back up to where they should be. This is going to be a multi-year process.
Ben there did tell me the Granite School District will offer summer school classes for students needing extra enrichment or the opportunity to catch up in a subject. And when the new school year starts, teachers will be very conscious of providing extra help to struggling students. And when it comes to virtual-based learning, that option will still be available, and it does work for a certain type of learner, and their home-based opportunities will likely increase. In studio, Kelly Chapman, Fox 13 News, Utah.